Time now to check in with Superintendent Wyeth Jessee from the Shelton School District. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Jeff?
Good. Nice to talk with you. I earlier, just at last hour, was talking with 35th District State Senator Drew McEwen, and I brought up the different school levies that are going on. Not only is Shelton involved in one, but I believe there's 5 in Mason County. So across the state, people are going to be wrangling with this issue as they sit at their kitchen tables and kind of pencil this thing out. One of the things that he was talking about was the fact that the state, and I brought up our conversations and how you tell me that the state apportionment into the Shelton School District is about $4 million less a year than what it needs to be to cover some of the expenses. And he says, I asked him that, and he goes, well, the state pays about $19,000 per student. And that is kind of where he was sitting on that. Do you have a response to that? And we'll go into what else he said after that.
Yeah, I've talked to Drew. I appreciate him. That's the kind of representative you want, is to sit down and talk about the issues, and I appreciate that. And I have before multiple times with him. And I think the things where we get, if you look at it in summation, you go, that's enough. You can do it. I say, well, come and check out the details. And I always, give some stories about what we're wrestling with. It's 18, not 19. And it's actually just under 18. I had put up a graph at the last school board meeting. Anybody can check out the board packet on our website for the board meeting on January 13th to see what is it that Washington pays per student in comparison to other states, and how it's changed in this state over time, over the last, I don't know, I forget what the number is, but something like the last 15 years. And so, I like to do that kind of analysis because I, and probably you, are taxpayers as well in this state. And I go, what are you getting in return for your dollar? And so is that enough to do what you have to do? And, people are always, superintendent salary, like, what are you giving the teachers, this kind of contract? Like, I hear you. I'm in the middle of it. What I can share is that some things cost way more than it was. And I've said this a million times on my interviews with you, is the operating costs are the things that are really going up. And yeah, salaries do, because they match inflation. Things are tied to it. That's what the state does. And so that those things go up, but revenue is not keeping pace. And so that is the issue. So you say, okay, you've got to increase. Sure, you're in, you're out. It's just not nearly as much. Water, insurance, all those things, like energy, those things are all up like 30, 40%. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. And we can't keep pace to it. And that's why we're not the only one telling this story. This story is being told since you brought up levies. Levies, there's 270 something odd levies coming up next month across this state. There's only 295 districts. So everybody's looking to not ask for more money. I'm looking to just maintain, because I do believe that why would I ask for more money if we can get the results we have? We're one of the top performing school districts in the state. You're getting the best bang for your buck here. We should do that and be lean. That's where we're at. We've already had cuts over the last 3 or 4 years.
He did mention in there some of the unfunded mandates that come through from the ledge that you take the brunt on there when it comes to the budgets. And then too, kind of a lot more, he talked about just how maybe there was different restructuring happening. And I wonder how you would respond to that if you already are doing what the state is telling you when it comes to, I'm guessing, classroom sizes, or I'm not quite sure where he was going with that, but I'm sure you've heard that before too.
I don't know either. I'm managing a school district with 4,500 kids and trying to get every kid to grow, get kids graduated and out the door and really prepared for college or career or both, And so I don't know all those things. They could be some tougher topics, right? There's education's in a very unique position right now at the state and federal level, because at the federal level, they pretty much disbanded the U.S. Department of Education. There's surely some listeners fans of that. What I can share is that's really it's about oversight and making sure your dollars are going where they're supposed to, and that the promises are being kept for example, for kids primarily with that have special needs. I mean, so those are things that I do worry about. But my primary worry is really about what I have in front of me. I've been a strong believer all my entire career, Jeff, that says, look, these are the monies I get, and I got to manage the best I can, right, with the money I have. What I'm trying to say is, if you keep maintaining us at this level, even with these things, I can continue to be lean and go in it. But if I'm having 30 or 40% increase in some costs that I have that costs extra like a handful of $1 million, that handful of $1 million is a lot of teachers or counselors, right? So that's what I'm just trying to say is, I'm not asking for more. I think I do believe in being lean. You figure out what works and then you fund it. But if I got what works in this funding and I've already had cuts and an increase in cost, I can't take additional hit on the revenue side without really curtailing the services we have. And I think what most people expect.
You had a board meeting this week, and some of the DECA students were there and showing off kind of what they have been doing, with 6 going to state and 1 on the eye of nationals. That's got to warm your heart when you hear about the hard work that those kids are doing and in a way to represent Shelton across the state and maybe even the country.
That's the work we're doing, Jeff. I mean, DECA has a really long, successful history here in the Shelton School District. It's definitely a point of pride. The work we're trying to do is say, can we keep increasing students' success in the core academics and then translate that into credentials and skills and experiences like in our internships, which we talk a lot about me. I mean, Jeff, you've been part of some of that work and helping make those connections so that kids can have those experiences out in the field. That's what DECA is about. That's what we're about. Is like, hey, by the time you graduate, you're absolutely prepared to take on some level of an entry-level job that you have some choice about. And or again, if you go to a trade school or a college, again, that you can go and do the things you want. I was yesterday in an Algebra 2 class. I was talking to a young lady. I was like, hey, how's it going in your math class? She's like, some of this is a little hard. I said, hey, how did you do last year in your algebra class? Because I'm very much algebra's freshman, 9th grade on track, right? Making sure I got an A. I said, you got an A last year in algebra? She's like, yeah, I'm trying to get that here in my Algebra 2 class. And then she's like, I go, what do you want to do? And she's like, hey, I want to go into the medical field. I don't know what exactly I want to do. The girl loves her education. She was super pleasant. She's got an idea where she wants to go as a sophomore. And I know we have a lot of pathway opportunities for her to internship out in the field and also have some courses where she's doing applied project-based learning. So this is what we've been working on. And again, did you hear, Jeff? She's doing really well in algebra and algebra 2. When we have that, that means like maybe she doesn't want to just be a certified nurse's assistant. Maybe she wants to be a nurse. Maybe she wants to be a business assistant. Maybe she, like she has choice. That's what we're trying to empower each and every student we have here. DECA is just one of those things that's like, it's just complementary for what kids want to do, for example, with business.
We got, I was talking to a couple folks yesterday, and one of them was telling me a story about some reasons why they had actually removed their student from the Shelton School District. And so maybe you can talk a little bit. It's along the lines of some of the disciplinary things that we've talked about. You say, suspensions are down and things like that. When it comes to decision making on how those suspensions and detention things work these days, they were concerned about kind of what happens in the bathrooms, the vaping. They hear about these stories. I think it was primarily at the high school, but maybe you can just explain that a little to some of the listeners that hear those stories out there.
Yeah, just up front, two particular things on this issue. One, Um, Student safety and well-being is top priority for the Shelton School District. Always has, always will be. And so I just want to make sure I'm communicating that up front. If somebody hears something, they go, I don't know, I care about this, I heard this story. I wonder, and let me put that to bed to say, yeah, I care. We care about every single kid, and not only in relations to when they're at school. I want to make sure they get to school, right? Because attendance is still an issue, and you're not always so safe at home by yourself as young kids or even older. And so we want to bring them in, keep them close. Two, I just dispel a lot of myth that's going on out there as if we have some issue. Every time I do allow somebody, Jeff, I go, hey, let's go take a walk through a school. And when they do, they're like, oh, this is super organized, structured, high expectations for students. They're learning. Absolutely true. Always here in Shelton or any other district, there's gonna be kids that try on new things. They're gonna try to do a vape pen, absolutely, or they may come onto campus drunk, or they may be on social media during the weekends and saying things that are inappropriate or posting things that are inappropriate. That's happening all across the United States. That's not unique to us. I think the thing that makes us, I think, better than most is that we're addressing it in a way that's trying to not punish the behavior, but to change the behavior. I can send you away. You're still going to come back, which our data and any other data for most districts will tell you is I didn't teach them a new skill. They're just going to practice it, and then they just get expelled or they're gone, and then they just go into the community and they're going to live here, and then you're going to have to address them later. So our job in the Shelton School District is to not just about punishing. We're actually about trying to transform the behavior, the problem behavior, and empower our kids so that they have the skills to get past that and be really good, positive, productive citizens. Is it hard sometimes? Absolutely. But Jeff, I just saw the stats in the journal. Did you see some of those stats?
I didn't. Please tell me.
Uh, Deaths in Mason County were due to drug overdose. I believe 25 of those were fentanyl directly related. 25 suicides. Those seem really like high numbers. I know those things. If you don't think those things impact the Shelton School District or the other districts in Mason County, come talk to me. We live those things. If I don't have a parent returning a phone call, we still deal with it. If I have kids that are surrounded by drugs and alcohol at home, they come in and you can see those things are displayed on them. And some people are just trying to get by. I am very sympathetic and empathetic to those situations. We don't like to label the kids. We'll still work with them, but we're trying to change it so that it's not just multi-generational issues. We're trying to, again, empower them, get them academic skills, get them the citizenship skills so that they can go out and change their trajectory for them and their family, both as far as, again, positive citizenships and economic prosperity.
We are recording this the day before into the Martin Luther King weekend. And so what are some of the things that are talked about as kind of service projects or ways to, like you said, become productive, impactful members of our community? I have seen other notes of other schools that, they go out and, I don't know, clean up, or they do this or do that. What are some of the things that you try to impress upon the district here on this weekend?
Yeah, for us, it's the uniqueness and the beauty of being here in Shelton is that people are, even if they don't have kids in the district, Jeff, they care about what's going on in Shelton schools. And so, I run across a whole bunch of people that don't, and they go, hey, like, how are they connected? What's going on? People come in, they'll read or help organize some things. We have a number of events where I see extended family members come to connect about whether it's students, reading really well, or, event where they show their reading or writing skills, or they'll have fun games and activities, and it's kind of like a potluck. Those happen all the way through the school year. And I think, yeah, this is coming up about, how you're going to connect with The community civics are obviously at the forefront, one of the hot topics right now across America. And we lean in on that, not with any kind of political bent, but it really is just about, it's not just this moment, but how are you involved in your community? You have a responsibility to be a member here. And we have obviously a lot of models here by our own business and business leaders, for example, allowing internships, allowing kids to come talk or come in to talk with our students. Those things are honestly the things that are memorable for kids because they're just not one-off events.
Shelton School District Superintendent Wyeth Jessee, thank you for the time, and we'll check in again here as we move through the second half of the school year.
Thanks so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it.